All right, I guess we'll get started now. I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar, Insider Tips for Choosing a Major. Please take a moment to close out any distractions on your computer. We'll also be taking questions throughout the session. Submit them below, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. My name is Tyson Schroeder, Chief Content Officer at Colleges of Distinction. Colleges of Distinction is a trusted resource for guidance counselors, parents, and students, as well as hundreds of colleges and universities. We aim to help parents and students find not just the best college, but the right college for them. Our webinar presenter today is Chuck Beutel, Vice President for Admissions and Enrollment Services at the University of St. Francis in Joliet, Illinois. And Chuck, I'm seeing a little muted thing on your name, so if you could unmute yourself if you can. Anyway, so Chuck has over 30 years of experience in admissions, marketing, and financial aid. He's a frequent presenter in Illinois high schools on financing a college education, college planning, and choosing a college. He is a past president of the Illinois Association of College Admissions Counselors, the Chicago Area Catholic Colleges and Universities, and the Chicago South Metropolitan Higher Education Consortium. I'll now turn it over to Chuck and he can get us started.
Thank you much, Tyson. Hopefully you can all hear me.
Yep, we're all set. I can see and hear you.
Terrific. Well, we thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully in the next half hour we'll be able to share with you some insights into not only choosing a major, but how to go about that selection process. One of the first things I like to talk about in sort of putting things into perspective, a lot of people don't know that over a third of high school seniors are really unsure of their major. At the time they take an ACT test, as they're talking with a college guidance counselor, they may have some inkling into some areas of interest, or they may have something that they feel at this point in their college selection process might be a major that would be appropriate for them. But actually a third of them are unsure of their major. That's sort of validated as they enter college, and that as you look at, again, national data, almost 1/3 of freshmen entering college are undecided as far as the major. And I frequently tell students that are undecided, students and parents, sometimes feel apologetic about that. I'm sorry, I don't know what I want to major in. And I say, you may be the brightest students of all entering in the freshman class because you at least admit it. You at least are willing to go through a search process to try to find an appropriate major. And many colleges have a lot of things in place to help you with that process. But unlike the other 60% or 70% of students who came in with a major, we know that 60% of college students change their major at least once before graduating. So it tells you they really didn't do their homework. They really hadn't put as much thought as necessary into choosing a major as they might have. They selected something that they knew maybe there were a lot of job opportunities. They selected something that either a parent or a relative is doing that looked like a good occupation to move into, and thus I'll major in that. Or they took the advice of a high school science teacher, and this teacher said, you'd be great majoring in science, and so they did. So don't be apologetic if you're unsure about major at this point in time, or if you're not 100% certain that what you are looking at is the best major for you. So how do you begin to choose that major? Well, I like to take it from a very simple perspective, and frequently when I'm meeting with a family that's unsure or undecided between, say, 2 or 3 different programs, I'll start the conversation with, what subjects did you like in high school? Or what subjects were you successful with? This is a great indicator of some things to look at and some things that you don't want to consider. For example, if you're sitting on the other side of the desk and you tell me, I never was good in math, but I'd really like to be an engineer, we've got a little bit of a disconnect that we've got to talk about. Conversely, if you're telling me I'd like to go into social work, but I really don't like working with people. Again, a problem there. So trying to find out what those subjects were that you liked, that you excelled in, is the first point of stepping off and trying to take that academic interest and success and match it up to some potential college majors. Another area to have the conversation centered around is what jobs are of interest to you based on what you know at this point. Every high school senior knows what a teacher does. You've had teachers in grade school, teachers in high school, so I'm aware of that occupation. Students tend to be familiar with medical areas. I've gone to the doctor, I've gone to the dentist. I sort of know what these people do. But you can get to some other areas that students are less aware of, such as someone who's working in transportation and logistics. What exactly is that job all about? So again, using the student's frame of reference, in the world of work, what jobs seem to be of interest to you, what jobs are things that you could see yourself doing, are good stepping off points to try to bring some focus on some college majors that they might want to explore. And lastly, if the student has taken some type of an interest inventory assessment, and one of those is provided to students prior to taking the ACT exam, we'll take a look at that. I'll either tell the student to bring that assessment in, or if they've already shared their test scores with the University of St. Francis, we'll pull the results of that assessment up and start to talk about the types of things that they indicated interest in. And that sort of leads us to making a list. Again, we talked about a couple different things as we touched on that first slide. What are the favorite subjects that you have? What are the favorite jobs that you could see yourself doing? And what did the assessment that you might have taken indicate that you might be inclined to work at, or areas that you might be inclined to be successful with? That world of work from ACT, this is an example of what you get back from them. It points you towards some broad concepts. And the first thing that hopefully you can see on your screen is the four major areas of, do you like working with people, with data, with things, or with ideas? And so it's sort of working off those four concepts to move towards the inner part of the hub, which will eventually direct you towards individual majors. So for example, you find yourself sitting somewhere between, I like working with people as well as data, so you're a little bit quantitatively oriented. Hopefully you're good in mathematics when you've taken your classes in high school. But you also have good people skills. You like to work with people. You like to communicate with people. You can follow directions, or you can give directions to people. It sort of focuses you in on a broad area as you move one band in, which, if you can read it on your screen, it says administration and sales. So it points you towards another general category that's focusing in ever closer on a major. Moving a band in from that, you'll see a lot of probably dots on your screen with some text next to it. But if I could read a little bit that to you, under administration and sales, they talk about such majors as management, marketing and sales, employee services, or human relations. So that's, again, focusing you down on some majors you might want to consider to look at and explore. And of course, when you're directed to these things, the first thing that may come to mind is, in the case of transportation and logistics, well, I really don't know what that is all about. And near the end of our presentation, I'm going to talk about some resources that you can utilize out there to learn about some occupations that come to mind as you go through this particular exercise. First of all, one of them we'll talk about is the U.S. Occupational Handbook, again available online, which will take you to various careers and areas of employment that you can, number one, find out about what type of academic programs can prepare me to enter this area. And then secondly, it'll talk about what the particular job market is like, especially if you look at another site I'll direct you to, is the Department of or Bureau of Labor Statistics, which will talk about an employment forecast or outlook on what jobs will be like over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, and what you can expect for entry-level salary as well as mid-career salary. Because again, these are things that not only students but parents are interested in. I don't want my son or daughter to choose a program that maybe they're going to have very little opportunity of finding employment with. So you can connect some of those dots with the exercise as well and see what comes to mind. To give you another example, or take a little bit different direction, let's look at a student who's interested in biology or the sciences in high school. I really enjoy my biology course every morning. I can't wait to get there. I like the experiments that we do in class. I'm really stimulated by this. But what can I do with biology? What opportunities are there for me? Well, as a college student, you could elect to major in biology and go through a teacher certification program, and thus you'd become a biology teacher yourself at the junior high or high school level. You could go into science research. You could move into the areas of environmental science. So again, taking the natural sciences, and those as a basis, coupled with some courses from social sciences to create an environmental science major and do things related to trying to get people acquainted with the environment, the importance of energy conservation, recycling, and the impact of not taking care of the environment and what that might mean for us, not only as people living within our community, but the planet as a whole. Another area is the professional, pre-professional areas, medicine, dentistry, veterinary medicine, and so forth and so on. All of those can stem out of an interest in biology or chemistry from high school. And then the allied health areas. And I've only got 4 here, but there's probably more than a dozen allied health careers that a student could choose to pursue within their college curriculum as well. So you get the idea of, I like a subject, I'm good in an area, here are some majors that I could go into in the college arena that build on my love or interest of that academic subject. Let's look at a few more. Again, some of our students very interested in mathematics, done well in mathematics, taken statistics, some calculus in high school. Where can I go from there? Most obviously, again, majoring in mathematics and doing a teacher certification program. Actuarial science, developing those statistics, those tables, which insurance companies and other organizations use to figure the probability of some event happening. And thus, in the case of insurance companies, what do I have to charge as far as a premium to ensure that if this event in fact occurs and I have to pay out on the policy, the company is not going to go broke. Computer programming, another area. In the early days of computers in the late 60s and 70s, they rated our high schools of mathematics teachers because a person who's grounded in mathematics finds it very easy to move into computer programming and some of the other mutations out of that discipline. Of course, engineering is a great field, and even within engineering, lots of subfields to think about that you can explore. So even when you've narrowed down a general field such as engineering, now there are some other sub areas that you've got to start to explore and find the right match with you and with what you're interested in doing. Again, research falls into there, as well as from the areas of business, banking, and finance. So you get the idea how I'm starting to connect interest or abilities in high school with potential majors from the college level. English, I love my English classes. I love literature. And again, majoring in something like English or literature and doing a teacher certification program might be an obvious direction to go. Writing and editing, and where can you do those things, or where are areas that you can apply those skills? Newspapers, magazines, developing training or instructional manuals, working in legal departments within law firms, or working in public relations out of the marketing area. Publishing, textbooks companies hire English majors, trade publications hire English majors, and then creative writing. I'd like to do screenplays, develop scripts, or even something as strange or different as I could write the copy for those greeting cards. I could come up with some creative ideas and nice little sayings inside. All of these things can stem out of a simple interest in English and some of the related majors you could think about going through college. And I think as one of the last areas, history, we talked somewhat about. A history teacher, again, is obvious. But did you ever wonder who maintains a library? Who's an archivist in a library? Who works in museums or galleries? And again, these are students that come out of an academic discipline in college, such as history. Also, you might be surprised to learn history majors in college can go into such areas of employment as working in intelligence agencies. What are they doing there? Well, they're using their background and their ability in history, maybe the history of a particular region of the world. Maybe you're an expert in Middle Eastern history, and so you're working with intelligence agencies, trying to help them better understand the dynamics of what's going on in that area of the globe, why things are occurring as they are, and how we can best interact with that area given their background, their history, and where they come from as a people or a nation. And finally, historical exhibits or museums. Again, opportunities to take that major and apply it to the world of work and find something that you're going to do, that you're going to be successful at, and most importantly, be able to earn a living. And lastly, we look at psychology. Again, usually students get a little exposure to psychology, child psychology, social psychology, or sociology within the high school curriculum. But what can I do with something like that? A major in social work, a major in psychology, a major in substance abuse counseling. Again, using psychology to go into research. Using a college major in psychology to go into the customer service area of business or industry to help train people how to work with other individuals who come to that business or industry with problems, concerns, needs, and how to process them during the course of the interaction, during the course of the conversation, and help lead them on towards a solution to their problem or a resource within that organization that will help them solve that problem. And then a couple other areas, advertising and consumer behavior. A whole area within marketing that uses as a basis psychology and the discipline of psychology to understand buying habits, to understand consumer behavior and how consumers interact with the marketplace. So again, looking at what you're interested in high school, what you're good at in high school, and what type of opportunities would be available to me as a major in college, and then of course afterwards some type of career or job. Learning about occupations is probably one of the best things that you can start doing at this point, particularly if you're undecided. Some resources that I talked about, you can go to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. They can tell you what the job market is like in a particular field. So what is the expected job market like for someone who's going to go into finance out of the business area? They can talk in that area as well about starting salaries that you could expect in mid-career salaries. So once you hit about 40 or 45, what might I expect to be earning if I go into finance? And also they'll talk about the subfields again of finance that you can move into, the specialties we might call it, that are available to you as well. The U.S. Occupational Handbook is a great place to learn about careers. So again, you may surface through looking at what people do, your friends, your parents, etc. You may go to the occupational handbook to gain a better understanding of what that job is actually like. What does someone do who's in, again, I'll use the example, transportation and logistics. What does someone do who is in consumer behavior? And this will give you an idea, as well as, again, point you back towards college majors that would be appropriate for you to pursue if that's an occupation that you would like to do after graduation. College boards, go to the College Board site, and they have a major and career search area. So just by jumping online, they will walk you through some processes of finding out about majors and what careers are like based on those given majors that you might pursue in college. College View is another source of careers and majors that you can navigate their site. And lastly, the Princeton Review has a college major search as well that you can find out about programs, and then you can use that information to find what institutions have the programs that you offer. So great sources of information, great sources to move from an interest in a career to what the opportunities are afterwards, and then backing up in the process. And so where do I go to find a major that I might be interested in? Another idea that we do at the college level that you could do right now as a high school student or as a parent encouraging your son or daughter to do this is to shadow a professional. What am I talking about there? Find someone who's working in that career that you're interested in and ask them if you could spend the day with them. So what is their work like? What type of setting do they work in? What is their interaction with other people? What is their daily routine like? Are they working a lot at a computer? Are they working with data? Do they find themselves talking to a variety of people during a day? That gives the student a better idea, is this something I could see myself doing? And so much of this process is finding a good match between what you like to do and what opportunities are out there. There's the old saying that if you find a job that you really love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that would be my wish for any student entering college, is to be able to identify that major which leads to that career that allows them to say 25 years into that job, I love my job so much, I feel like I've never worked a day in my life. And parents that are listening on there, or adults, do you find yourself in that position now in life that you really love what you do? And again, that would be something I would hope for any student starting in the college selection process of trying to find a major. Shadow questions to ask. What do you like most about your job? Every job has things that people dislike, and so we follow up at the end of the list. What do you like least about your career? But hopefully there are a lot of things that they love, and again, the student should be looking at those things saying, are those things that I love to do as well? What made you enter this career? Was it I stumbled into it? And let's face it, some of us stumble into our careers by accident and not always by plan or choice. What did you major in college? And again, we'll see sometimes very disconnected careers with majors. I majored in history in college, and yet here I am right now operating and managing a bank. Boy, that's a big disconnect between those two. But again, talking to that individual about how they migrated from that history major in college to a management job in banking would be an interesting story. And again, it'll reinforce something that I always like to tell students. You don't always know what you major in is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, because the world of work keeps changing and new careers, new opportunities keep coming into play. When did you become aware of this field that you're working in? Again, did they, early in college, did they identify this? Or was this something that they had developed an interest in, as they were completing their college degree, or even after their first or maybe second job out of college. And as I said, what do you like least about the career that you're working in today? Some advice to college freshmen. Again, being undecided is okay. In fact, if you're in between a couple areas, you've got it narrowed down to something in business, but I don't know if I want to do finance or accounting, take advantage of whatever the college offers you to try to further select your career or major. Because again, doing something like the shadowing with someone who's in banking versus someone who's working specifically in the area of finance may help you resolve that issue. Try to take a course each semester in a major which you might be interested in. Again, you will be with a faculty member from that discipline, so you can engage and open up conversation with that faculty member on what is good about his or her particular major program, what opportunities are there, what else will I be studying while I'm in college, while I'm in your major, are there any internship opportunities that I could pursue? Is there anything else that you could offer me to try to help me decide or select the best major for me at this early point of my freshman or maybe my sophomore year? Also, you're with other students who hopefully have selected that as a major. So you may get in conversation with some students you meet in class. Why are you majoring in finance? Why are you majoring in biology? What are you going to do with this major? Where are you going? What are your plans, or do you have any at this point in time? Get help or advice from the Career Development Center, a great resource on every campus. And again, they can give you an interest inventory assessment and sit down and work with you through the results of that assessment. So whether you took an ACT or some other instrument that helped you focus or identify some areas that you might consider, career development can either validate what you think you're interested in or open up some other opportunities for you to pursue. And lastly, as I mentioned, talk to other students about why they chose that particular area of study, why they chose that major, what interested them in that major, what do they like to do, what skills, what abilities do they have to be successful in that major. Understanding those things are very important in trying to help you get the right match of major so that ultimately you can get into the right career or occupation. Relax, be open to information. I can tell you, no one graduates from college without a major. It's almost like the parent who is frustrated potty training the child. And, you know, my kid is never going to get out of diapers. Well, I'll ask all of us, how many of you know someone in their teen years in high school, or certainly someone in the years of adulthood, that are still using diapers from childhood? Somehow we all get through it. Somehow you're going to find the right major. Be open to things, gather information, and use that information to try to make the best decision you can. Also remember, college graduates change career paths. You may come out working as an accountant, but you may find that your love of your life was always to be a high school teacher. And so at 30, at 35 years of age, you're going back to college, getting teacher certification so that you can make a major career change and go into high school teaching at that point. And that's all right too. But maybe the first decision was made because that was what everybody wanted you to do. Mom or dad wanted you to be an accountant, or your uncle had a great life and you said, I want to have a great life too. I'm going to be an accountant just like Uncle Jack. Well, it might not have been the best choice for you, but it took you 5 or 10 years to figure that out. Also, careers emerge for which there are no current majors. And this is one of the reasons that I think the liberal education, the general education that you go through is very important. You want to become a lifelong learner. First of all, even the major that you choose, information will continue to emerge and you need to stay current. But secondly, there may be occupations or areas that emerge or skill sets that emerge over your lifetime that you need to master. And so learning how to learn and being flexible and taking advantage of those opportunities is something that you want to remember is out there as well. Again, when freshman parents are on campus, one of the questions I will ask is, how many of you are working today in a career or a job which existed 20 years ago when you maybe were graduating from college? And it's amazing the hands that go up that are now in a career that didn't even exist 20 years ago. And that will continue to happen in this society and in this economy that we live in today. So remember, the word is be flexible. Be flexible, things change, new information comes into play. You've got to assimilate that and try to use that opportunity or that information to the best of your ability. Useful websites, what can I do with a major? This site is up there from the University of St. Francis. We use this again with our students who are searching and trying to find out a match, who will look at things like the liberal arts areas of history or English. Can I do anything with this? And it gives them ideas and what students are doing with those majors. Bureau of Labor Statistics, that's their URL address that you can pop into, or Google just U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Same thing with the U.S. Occupational Handbook. And then, as I mentioned earlier, College Board's Major and Career Search, an opportunity to get a lot of information on majors and what type of careers those majors open doors towards. With that, I want to turn it back over to Tyson, who's going to talk to you a little bit about another opportunity that colleges of distinction are going to make available. Tyson?
Yep. Thank you, Chuck. Once again, I am Tyson Schroeder with Colleges of Distinction. Big thank you to Chuck Beutel for this helpful webinar. We've been collecting your responses from the webinar, and we will get to answering those in a few seconds. But first, I'd like to let you all know about the Colleges of Distinction 2017 guidebook that is now available for pre-order on Amazon.com. The guidebook includes over 300 profiles with detailed information on each school. It also includes many of our insights into the college search process, questions you should be asking on your college visits, and insider advice on everything from your first college interview to applying for financial aid. If you pre-order before September 5th on Amazon, you'll get the guidebook at the discounted rate of $14.99. And if you send me your receipt, you'll also receive bonus checklists for college applications, school visits, and dorm packing. Now let's get back to Chuck and to get your questions answered. So our first question is from Gary, and he asked, should high school students choose colleges based on what they may want to study, however hazy their interests are?
Well, I think it's got to be a criteria that you have to factor in. If you know, for example, and I'm going to use an area that I know we're talking about a limited number of institutions, but let's say one of your areas of interest, and you've got the skill set and the test scores to pursue engineering. So I'm looking at engineering. Should I be looking at colleges that offer an engineering program? And the short answer is yes, you have to. I know that you could elect later on to change your major after you get into that first year or into the second year of studies and may decide engineering is not for you. But the flip side is if you choose a college that can offer you little or nothing in the area of engineering, and that's really one of your desires or your interests going into higher education, you're going to shortchange yourself because you're not going to get into those introductory classes. You're not going to be with professors who are articulate in that particular discipline. And you may find yourself then saying, well, I guess I'll just stay here and I'll choose a major other than engineering because I like the school, I like the people I'm with, but unfortunately they don't have an engineering major. So I think you've got to factor that into your decision process. And certainly if you're looking at a couple areas, try to ensure that the colleges that you're looking at have a number of those available. Maybe not all of them, but a good number of those.
Okay, our next question is from Mark, and he asks, how do I go about setting up a job shadowing experience?
You can do it in two ways. As I said, if you want to wait until you're at the college that you select, many of the college career development offices can do these things for you. As some of the colleges, they can make these experiences available for you through their alumni. But if you're in high school right now and you'd like to do something like this, check with your parents' network of friends. Is there anyone that they know of? Is there anyone from maybe your church? Is there anyone from a club or organization that your family belongs to that can let you do this type of thing, that they're working in that particular occupation? Or again, to pick on the banking example, maybe you don't have a friend who's in banking, but I'm sure your parents use a bank either for checking, savings, mortgage, whatever. Go to that bank and say, can I talk to one of the managers here? Explain to the manager what you'd like to do. I'm sure they would be delighted to have you spend a day with them so they can show you what they do, what the different occupations do within that bank, and talk a little bit about what the opportunities are for a person who chooses a career in banking.
Okay. Gary has another question. His question is a three-parter, I think, here. First, how much attention do you pay as an admissions officer, to a student's intended major or lack thereof? Do you accept kids who indicate an interest in a major you're trying to recruit more students for? How can an applicant find out which majors are more highly valued?
Okay, and it is three, if not more parts. I think the first thing is, if you're applying and you indicate, for example, I'm looking at nursing as a major, your application is going to be screened as well as just general screening it goes through. It's going to be screened for some specific courses in the sciences and in mathematics. If you have not taken those courses, not taken all of them, done poorly in one or several of those courses, your application could be denied for nursing. And yet if you applied as an undecided student, or if you applied initially as I'm just going to be majoring in history or English, you could be accepted. So the colleges will use a major that you indicate on there as a screening device, particularly if that major requires certain high school course prerequisites or the mastery of certain skills and abilities that are going to be validated by grades in high school courses or certain scores within the ACT or SAT test. The second question, or the second part of that could be, well, what if I apply as an undecided? Yes, you're going to go through maybe a more simple or elementary screening, but recognize if you get to that college and then announce after the first semester or in your first year that I'm interested in that nursing area or I'm interested in engineering, you're still going to go through another screening process, which is going to require you to show whatever requirements they have, and maybe similar to what they would have had for you as an entering freshman. You're still going to have to demonstrate competencies and skills in those particular areas. Another thing is scholarships. By putting down a major that you're interested in, you could either include or exclude yourself for some of the institutional scholarships or institutions endowed scholarships. So by all means, if you have an interest in a particular major, you want to put that down, but recognize again the stick swings both ways. It could include you for consideration for something or exclude you for consideration of something as well. Did I sort of cover a couple of those things?
Yeah, I think you did. The last one was, how can an applicant find out what majors are more highly valued?
Again, highly valued, the institution may tell you, and in fact, maybe some honest conversation with the admissions officer you're working with could help you. But as the admissions officer is looking over your application and your high school transcripts and test scores, they should also be able to advise you based on areas that you can share with them you're thinking about, your likelihood of getting into one given area or another. So in the example of, let's say a particular institution is trying to recruit more art and design students, and that's an area you're thinking about, but you're thinking about art and design, you're thinking about marketing out of business, maybe a couple other areas. The admissions counselor can advise you on, I think your likelihood of being admitted would be stronger if you're looking at art and design, because I'm looking at your high school transcripts and you're not very good in mathematics. And if you go into marketing, you're going to be taking courses in statistics and research and things of this nature. And not that I'm saying you can't handle it, but your academic preparation is not as strong as we would like to see it. They may also tell you art and design, because we're looking to build the major a little bit further, we also have some scholarship opportunities there that we can offer you in marketing, which may be, again, a reason that you look a little bit more closely at that major than the other. And again, all of this doesn't preclude the fact that I want to change my major after a semester, a year, or even 2 years in college. Those choices are still yours, but those would be some of the impacts that choosing that major could have on either admissibility or could have on scholarship opportunity.
Okay, great. I think we have time for one more, and this one's from Sarah, and she asks, for students to receive financial aid, they must list a major. If a student is undecided, what do you suggest they do or list for the major to receive their financial aid? She says they can't list undecided.
They can't list undecided. Well, if that's the case on an application, I would indicate an area or areas that you are looking at. Again, not that you're committed. How that is utilized in the college financial aid office is, again, we're looking at matchups for endowed scholarships. So we have endowed scholarships that are only available to students who happen to be majoring in, again, let's pick on art and design. If you indicate art and design is what you're thinking about as a major on that financial aid application, then we're going to consider you for that art and design scholarship. If you put nursing, then you've got to look at a nursing scholarship, or we can't give you the art and design. So that's how they're using it and trying to force you into decision. Again, there's no obligation other than if you would get that major related endowed scholarship and choose to leave that major, or even before you arrive at the campus, announce that I'm not majoring in art and design, I've decided to major in nursing, they may have to pull that scholarship away and give it to another student. So that's how that information is used.
All right, well, that's everything we got. I think we're out of time. I want to thank Chuck again for this very helpful webinar. And if you guys want access to the slides or anything, you can email me at Tyson@Colleges of Distinction. And please go pre-order your guidebook. Thank you and have a great day. Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Bye.